Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the voice inside your head, the one that's been whispering doubts, fears, and you can't. Now imagine flipping a switch and turning that voice into your fiercest ally, your relentless motivator, the engine that drives you toward everything you've ever wanted. That voice is not your enemy. It's your superpower waiting to be claimed. And the moment you rewrite it, you change everything. Let's dive deep into the first key point. Awareness of self-talk. Every day, your mind produces thousands of thoughts, most of them automatic, fleeting, and unnoticed. These thoughts may seem harmless, but they are the silent architects of your life. Every belief, every decision, every emotion you experience starts with a thought, and the quality of those thoughts determines the quality of your life. If your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, criticism, or fear, it doesn't matter how much external opportunity you have, your mind will filter it through that lens of limitation. Awareness of self-talk means pausing long enough to notice these internal patterns, to catch the recurring phrases and judgments that subtly shape your confidence and actions. Most people operate on autopilot, reacting to life without ever realizing how often they are sabotaging themselves with negative internal scripts. Becoming aware requires honesty and courage, because it often means confronting uncomfortable truths. The "I'm not good enough," the "I'll fail if I tries," and the endless comparisons that have crept into your thinking without permission. But awareness is not about shame or judgment. It's about illumination. Once you see the inner dialogue clearly, you gain power over it. You start to notice the triggers, the context, and the patterns that keep you trapped. For instance, certain situations may spark fear or hesitation automatically, but by observing your internal narrative, you can separate fact from interpretation, reality from story. You can recognize that a thought like "I can't handle this" is not an objective truth. It's a conditioned response, one you can challenge. Awareness also allows you to discover the hidden strengths in your self-talk. Perhaps there are moments when your mind naturally encourages you, urges you to take a step forward, or reminds you of your resilience. These moments, however fleeting, are proof that your inner dialogue is not fixed. It is fluid, responsive, and capable of transformation. The more consistently you practice this awareness, the more control you develop. You start noticing the moments when fear whispers stop and consciously choose a different response. You catch yourself in cycles of self-criticism and intentionally redirect toward curiosity, learning, and empowerment. Awareness of self-talk is the foundation of change, because you cannot change what you do not see. Until you shine a light on your internal patterns, they will continue to drive your decisions unconsciously, keeping you stuck in limitations you believe are permanent. By simply observing, without rushing to fix or judge, you begin the process of reclaiming your mind. You realize that your inner dialogue is not your master. It is a tool, a mirror, and a compass, ready to serve you if only you pay attention and start listening with intent. Every word you speak to yourself carries weight. Words are not just sounds or symbols. They are powerful signals that shape your beliefs, emotions, and ultimately your destiny. The way you talk to yourself builds the lens through which you see the world. When your internal language is negative, critical, or limiting, it plants seeds of doubt that grow into hesitation, fear, and inaction. Conversely, when your inner dialogue is purposeful, supportive, and empowering, it becomes a force that propels you forward, even in the face of adversity. Most people underestimate the impact of their self-directed words because they appear internal and private, but make no mistake, these words are not silent. They trigger chemical responses in the brain, influencing your energy, confidence, and ability to take decisive action. Consider how often you say to yourself, "I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed." Each repetition strengthens a neural pathway of limitation, making that belief feel more real and more inevitable. The brain cannot distinguish between statements of fear and statements of truth. It simply records them reacts to them, and reinforces the patterns that dominate your mental environment. Understanding this gives you extraordinary leverage. It means that by changing the words you choose internally, you are literally rewiring your mind. It's not about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about replacing disempowering narratives with words that reflect possibility, competence, and resilience. Every affirmation, every deliberate shift in phrasing, every moment you consciously choose to speak encouragement to yourself rewires your thought patterns and strengthens your capacity for success. Words are the architects of your reality because they shape perception before action ever occurs. When you repeatedly tell yourself you are capable, creative, and deserving, your mind begins to search for evidence to support that truth, opening doors to opportunities you may have otherwise ignored. The challenge is consistency. One positive statement, net here or there, is not enough to counter decades of internalized limitation. Transformation happens when words become habitual, when your self-talk is consistently aligned with the person you intend to become. You begin to notice a shift, not only in how you feel, but in how you act. Language becomes a compass, guiding choices, influencing behavior, and reinforcing belief. By mastering the words you use internally, you create a foundation for confidence, courage, and unstoppable momentum that carries through every aspect of life. It is not a trivial change. It is a fundamental re-engineering of your mind, an acknowledgement that the voice inside you is not a judge to obey, but a tool to direct with intention, shaping the path of your life with precision and power. Every moment of your life, you are faced with choices, some small, some monumental, but the most powerful choice you will ever make is how you respond to the voice inside your head. That voice does not dictate your destiny unless you allow it. The truth is that your inner dialogue is not some uncontrollable force. It is a reflection of the stories you have accepted, the beliefs you have repeated, and the habits you have unconsciously nurtured. To step into true personal power, you must claim full responsibility for that dialogue. You must recognize that every thought, every word, and every reaction is a decision, and with each decision comes the opportunity to either limit yourself or unleash your potential. Most people live under the illusion that life happens to them, that circumstances define their outcomes, or that their internal negativity is unavoidable. But this is a choice. You have the capacity to interrupt old scripts, to stop repeating patterns that no longer serve you, and to consciously construct new ones that align with your highest goals. Choosing empowering self-talk is not about denial of reality. It is about deliberately deciding to engage with life from a position of strength rather than fear. It is a refusal to let doubt dictate your actions, and a commitment to speak to yourself in ways that foster courage, resilience, and possibility. Responsibility in this context is not a burden. It is freedom. The moment you understand that your mind is not a passive observer, but an active participant in creating your experiences, you gain the authority to rewrite your story. Every time fear whispers, you can't, you can choose to respond with I can and I will learn. Every time self-doubt arises, you can consciously redirect your focus towards solutions, growth, and opportunity. This is the essence of personal leadership, owning not just what you do, but how you think and how you speak to yourself. It is easy to blame external circumstances, people, or luck for limitations, but real transformation begins when you stop pointing outward and start turning inward. Choosing responsibility for your inner dialogue is a daily moment-to-moment practice. It is making a habit of noticing limiting thoughts and consciously replacing them with empowering alternatives. It is taking full ownership of your narrative, refusing to let the unconscious chatter control your actions, and actively shaping your identity through intentional thought. By embracing this choice, you step into a state of mastery over your mind. You no longer react automatically to fear, insecurity, or criticism. You respond with intention, conviction, and clarity. Every choice to speak with purpose strengthens your mental resilience and builds a foundation from which extraordinary results become inevitable. And every decision you make inside your mind ripples outward, creating a life defined not by circumstance, but by consciousness. Deliberate action Transformation does not happen by chance. It happens through repetition, practice, and consistent action. Awareness, insight, and intention are the first steps, but without reinforcement, they remain ideas rather than reality. Your inner dialogue is like a muscle. If you never exercise it, it remains weak and underdeveloped, easily overwhelmed by old habits and external pressures. Action through reinforcement is the bridge between understanding and change. It is the deliberate, ongoing effort to speak to yourself with clarity, courage, and purpose, ensuring that the empowering thoughts you cultivate are not fleeting, but become automatic. Every time you consciously replace a limiting thought with an encouraging one, you strengthen a neural pathway that supports growth and resilience. This is not about forcing positivity or ignoring challenges. It is about training your mind to respond with strength, even in the face of difficulty. When you encounter setbacks, the reinforced dialogue acts as a stabilizer, reminding you of your capability and resilience rather than triggering panic or self-doubt. Reinforcement also means embedding your new inner dialogue into daily rituals. It can be through affirmations, journaling, reflective pauses, or consciously repeating empowering statements when confronted with stress. The key is consistency. Just as physical training requires repetition to build endurance and strength, mental training requires continual engagement to rewire old patterns and solidify new ones. Over time, what once required conscious effort becomes instinctive. You begin to automatically respond to challenges with confidence, creativity, and resolve. Reinforcement is about persistence, choosing moment after moment to listen to the voice that encourages, motivates, and inspires rather than the one that criticizes or doubts. It is also about observation, noticing which reinforcements are effective and which thoughts still need reshaping, adjusting your approach with intention and precision. Through this disciplined practice, the mind shifts from a reactive state to a proactive one. You're no longer a passenger reacting to circumstance. You become the driver of your thoughts, steering your mental energy toward empowerment and possibility. This consistent action compounds over time. Each day of intentional reinforcement adds another layer of resilience, clarity, and focus, gradually transforming the subconscious narratives that have held you back. Reinforcement creates momentum. Small, deliberate actions repeated consistently produce a wave of change that carries into every aspect of life, from decision-making to relationships to personal achievement. It ensures that the empowering words you speak internally are not temporary boosts, but the foundation of a lasting, unstoppable mindset that supports growth, mastery, and the realization of your fullest potential.